Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and I am back from vacation. So no more pre-uploaded videos that are from like a week ago, and we'll be going back to covering the normal World of Warships news and such. And what a better way to come back than a top 5 list. They are some of my most watched videos, so I continue to make them since you guys seem to enjoy them so much. And as you can tell by the title of today's video, this is my top 5 picks for this season of Ranked Sprints. So if you don't know, Ranked Sprints started, well, yesterday. It started today as I am recording. And, well, Tier 8, 8v8, which means we have carriers and we have a whole lot of premiums at Tier 8. And not gonna lie, most of these ships are premium ships. Are there tech line ships that you could take? Of course, I'm going to offer up a couple of alternatives here and there that you could take that are tech line that I've noticed have been doing pretty good all in all. But overall, these are the ships that I'm noticing the most and that are performing the best when I play them. Anyway, let's go ahead. Oh, before we get going, as always, this is all 110% my opinion. If you do enjoy the video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Anyway, here we go with number 5. We have the Tier 8 American carrier, USS Enterprise. Of course, no Tier 8 competitive mode pick list could be completed without the Enterprise. It is probably one of the most broken ships in the game, borders something like Slava. But, well, it's the Enterprise. It's extremely powerful. Her AP bombers are terrifying to cruisers and even to battleships as well. And her rocket planes are just wrecking balls to destroyers and even lighter armored cruisers. Now, the Enterprise is, of course, a ship that was pulled from the store some time ago, so only if you purchased it. I think they pulled it like 4 months ago-ish, if I remember correctly. If you bought it back then, of course, you still have it. And obviously, this ship is going to be out and about in this season of Ranked Sprints. I've seen it quite a bit. I've played it myself quite a bit, and it is so broken that even I, someone who is absolutely garbage at carriers, can still perform pretty well in a ranked situation. Now, of course, the thing here is that it's Tier 8, CVs are going to be everywhere, and the amount of AA is going to be through the roof because people are going to, respond to there being CVs everywhere by picking mostly AA ships if they have them, and that is very true. That's, again, a place where Enterprise comes out on top. Its plane regen rate is very good. And I've never ran out of planes when playing Enterprise in Ranked. And again, this is me, a very bad carrier player, saying this. I've never run out of planes. I've gotten pretty low because I goofed up a bunch one round, but I never completely ran out. My squadrons were still at least half full through the end of the match. And I was still, well, wrecking ships as much as I can. And I think the average damage I've done in Enterprise, for as much as I played it in rank, is somewhere in like the 70,000-80,000 damage range. Nothing too crazy, but again, for someone who doesn't play CVs, that does just go to show how broken the Enterprise is. So moving on to number 4, we have the response to CVs, and that is, of course, the Tier 8 American Premium Destroyer, Kidd. Now, Kidd is a Fletcher, that's a Tier 9 destroyer, down tier to Tier 8, but she's missing a torpedo tube, but that torpedo tube has been replaced by AA. Kidd is by far one of the best choices for just, if you're just tired of being picked on by the carriers this Ranked Sprint season, choose the Kidd. It's an absolute plain blender. Plus, it's a Tier 9 destroyer put down at Tier 8, and it has a heel on top of, American smokescreen, American 5-inch guns, amazing AA, and DFAA. It's got a smokescreen on top of that. And I'm sorry, a heel on top of all that. And, I mean, a heel on a destroyer at Tier 8 with all this going for it is very, 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 very nice. It's a very comfortable destroyer to play if you're not used to playing destroyers. But, again, it is ranked, so you kind of want to pick a ship that you're more familiar with. But again, if I had to choose a DD to play, it would definitely be the Kidd, because the carrier is just going to either leave you alone, or if they decide to pick on you, you are going to make them pay for whatever the heck they do to you or your nearby teammates. So if you want to use a DD this season, I would definitely recommend Kidd. Moving on to number 3, we have the Tier 8 Premium German light cruiser, the Mainz. Mainz. Again, I get told like 4 different ways to say this ship's name, but the Mainz. The Mainz is a awesome tier 8 light cruiser. It's a German light cruiser, which means it gets the special German pins on its HE. It gets the 1/4 pin ratio, which means that it can pin 32 millimeters of armor with its guns. Plus, they have a 6-second reload, pretty decent range, and it is a hipper hull. So, you know, I mean, there are some differences here and there. They balance stern armor up. It's only 25 millimeters instead of 27, so it's a bit more squishy than the hipper, and it does not get a heel, so you do have that to contend with. But the ship is an absolute flamethrower. It's basically what the Cleveland wishes it could be. Now, it doesn't have radar like the Cleveland, but it does have a hydro. You get a catapult plane, and I would definitely recommend on any ship with a catapult plane in this ranked season, make sure you equip the fighter, because that's going to save your butt in the CV-infested battles. But very nice rate of fire. If you're used to throttle juking, you can do wonderful things in this ship. And the AA, it's nothing, you know, amazing like the Kidd's AA, but it's pretty decent. It's not on the bad side. And again, with AA, with the CV rework, AA is kind of all over the place still. It's really difficult to say something has very good AA unless it has like absolute god tier AA like the Kidd. But mains, if you're sticking with your teammates, which you should definitely be doing this this ranked season, you'll be able to contribute to the AA defense. Plus, it does have torpedoes, so if you do need to get up close and personal with somebody, you've got the torpedo power to back it up. Would I recommend going, you know, torpedo range with everything in the mains? No. You get behind an island, you throw HE. Now, it's not the best island HE spammer either, because it's not like the Americans with their insane catapult angles almost with their guns. But still, if you post up behind an island, you do have relatively flat arcs, but you back up a couple kilometers, you'll be fine. And you do have very nice velocity on the guns. It's somewhere around 900 meters a second. So you don't have to lead too much when firing at targets from far away. So it's got all that going for it. Wonderful cruiser. Would definitely recommend it for this season of Ranked. Moving on to number 2, we have the Tier 8 Premium German Battleship, the Odin. Yes, the Odin is on this list because I do love the Odin, and it is a very strong ship. Now, most Odin detractors will at least admit that the ship is at least decent in Tier 8, and this ranked sprint season is all Tier 8s, and I think Odin is very, 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 very good in Tier 8, and it's a wonderful choice. Now, the health, because of course that's going to get brought up so much. Yes, it is only 52,000 hit points, but it's got an icebreaker bow, it's got a 90mm stern, has turtleback armor. It's an incredibly tough ship. And it has a very nice detection range. I don't have a full concealment build in mind, and my detection range is down to like 13 kilometers. This ranked sprint season, that's very useful. When there's not a CV in game, keep that in mind. Or if the CV is just working on the other flank and it is ignoring your flank, that can be used very much to your advantage. It's a tough ship. Her 9 guns are fairly accurate. They aren't, oh my god, it's so much more accurate than other German battleships, but they're smaller in caliber than obviously the Bismarck and Tirpitz. But they are accurate enough when you're dealing with Tier 8 ships at the ranges you're mostly going to be fighting at. In this ranked sprint season, you'll do okay with the main battery guns. And again, you want to be going after heavily armored cruisers or broadside battleships in the Odin, which I haven't had a problem with this season so far. And of course, secondaries, you should be running a full secondary build on your Odin, which will get you out to 11.6 kilometers. That is the furthest secondary range of any Tier 8 battleship. And plus, they're very good because they're German secondaries. And again, like with the mains, they get German HE pins. So every secondary gun on the Odin can pin 32 millimeters of armor. Plus, on top of that, you have torpedoes. You have Tirpitz torpedoes. They are mounted in the back like the Graf Spee. So the torpedo angles are a little bit more wonky, but in an absolute knife fight, they're actually kind of better than the middle-mounted torpedoes on the Tirpitz. But still, the Tirpitz torpedoes, that's definitely like your ace up your sleeve most of the times that you are knife fighting. And on top of all of that, it does get hydroacoustic search. So again, unlike the Tirpitz, who has to give up his hydro to get its torpedoes. Odin doesn't have to do that. And on top of all of that, it actually has kind of decent AA. Again, not fantastic, but definitely not terrible. And if you're rolling with buddies, you'll be more than able to mostly protect yourself from aircraft. And again, it does have a catapult fighter as well, which I do recommend you mount over the spotter plane. So Odin, and I know most of you guys probably don't have Odin yet, which is why you could easily swap the Odin out with the Tirpitz here. And again, the ships are very similar. Like I said, forget when that video came out. The ships are very similar. They have a very similar play style, but they do play a little bit different. But if you play German battleships or any brawling battleship, you know how to play the Odin, you know how to play the Tirpitz. They will do well. Alright, before we get to number 1, we have a couple of honorable mentions. Honorable mention number 1 is the Lenin, the Tier 8 Soviet battleship. So, Lenin is basically a drunk Nelson with 16-inch guns that have the Soviet gimmick of the closer you are to the target, the more accurate the guns are, well, the better the dispersion is. And that can definitely be useful this ranked season because engagement ranges in this season seem to be mostly around 13-14-inch kilometers, which is well in the sweet zone of the Lenin. So when you have 9 16-inch guns pounding on your ship from that range, that's going to put a big hurting on you. Now there are, well, a couple of big downsides with the Lenin. The first one is that its AA is really not good at all. And you can put a catapult fighter on the Lenin, but I don't know if the Lenin's catapult fighter is just crappy or what, but for whatever reason, you know, the fighters, when I use them, barely seem to do their job. They barely latch, and when they do latch, they don't even finish off all the planes before they just give up attacking. I don't know. It just seems to be a really crappy fighter for whatever reason. And if you do get caught broadside in the Lenin, you are going to get slapped very, very hard. But if you play it bow in, just like the Nelson, it's a very tough ship. And again, you got 9 16-inch guns with the Soviet dispersion gimmick on them, so you have that going for you. So it's very situational, if you get what I'm saying. If there's not a carrier in the game, it's a very good ship to have on your team. If there is a carrier in the game, he's definitely going to be going for you. So to keep that in mind. Honorable mention number 2 is actually the Tier 8 Premium German battleship Tirpitz. Like I said with the Odin, if you don't have the Odin, you could use the Tirpitz. Tirpitz, again, very good choice for this season, but there is a big downside, and that is, again, it's AA. It just doesn't have the AA power that it needs to really defend itself this season. So again, you are going to have to be sticking with your friends, but with the way it's been going this season, that regardless of whether you have a good AA ship or a bad AA ship, everyone's been sticking together. But again, if something does happen and it comes down to like you and maybe 2 of the ships on your team, and you don't have the friendly ships around you to provide with AA cover, and their CV's still alive, you're going to go down pretty dang fast. And you could swap out the Tirpitz for the Bismarck. Bismarck does have a bit better AA. It's more able to defend itself, where the Tirpitz really can't when it's by itself. So it just depends on which one you want to use, because do you want to give up the A and the Hydro to get the torpedoes on the Tirpitz, or do you want to stick with the A and the Hydro on the Bismarck and just play it like a normal German battleship and not really have the advantage of torpedoes? It's up to you, and there is a very strong argument that the Bismarck is the better choice this season over the Tirpitz, again because of the carriers. Alright, moving on to number 1, we have the Tier 8 Premium American battleship Massachusetts. What else can I say, but it's got everything you need this season. It's got the AA, it's got some of the best AA at Tier 8. It's got the secondaries for brawling. It's got the very fast cooldown on its heal and its damage con. And it even has torpedo protection that most of the other ships on this list just don't have. So Massachusetts is an absolute machine this season. 9 16-inch American guns with, well, it does have American dispersion, but the Sigma isn't that great. But what that means is that the shells do come out of the guns kind of funky, but they don't fly all over the place like the German battleships do. It's kind of consistently bad, if you know what I mean. And those of you who play Massachusetts, you guys definitely know what I mean. It just means that you can predict kind of where the shells are going to disperse, because they're not going to fly all over the place. so you can aim pretty confidently that your shells will hit in that general area, and it just works. And again, it does have a very fast cooldown on its heal and its damage con to make up for its lack of really armor that's appropriate for brawling. So you can take big hits in the Massachusetts, and your heal will be there to hopefully compensate you that health. But again, it's a fantastic ship, great secondaries. With the secondaries too, they don't redo their damage through pins like the German secondaries do against, you know, more well-armored targets. Against more well-armored targets, the American secondaries get their damage in through fires. They have a very nice chance of starting a fire per each shell, and when you got adrenaline rush going, you're at half health, you're going to be just throwing these secondaries shells everywhere and starting a good amount of fires. But these secondary guns do have enough pins to deal with light cruisers and destroyers. They are fantastic for that, and will chew through any light cruiser or destroyer that gets in your way. And of course, the torpedo damage reduction is up at 45% on the Massachusetts, which is by far the best torpedo damage reduction of any of the battleships that are designed to brawl. And again, AA, she has almost exactly the same AA suite that the Alabama does. She literally has 4 less AA guns than the Alabama. So if the CV wants to go after you, it's going to cost them an arm and a leg. And more often than not, they'll just leave you till the very end, or they'll just ignore you altogether. So guys, those are my top 5 picks for this season of Ranked Sprints. Let me know what your top 5 picks are in the comments down below. And again, if you enjoyed the video, please drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. We're on our way to 15,000 subscribers. We're getting very close to 13,000. And I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Also, make sure to join the Discord. The link is in the description down below. Hope you guys are having a great whatever day this comes out. And hope to catch you guys in the next one.